Oh, I just wanted to dive in real quick. I just felt the need to talk about this as I'm thinking about it this morning. I've really been trying to get my body sorted out. This vehicle, this vessel. Because the more I'm starting to realize, the more I'm finding my pain and getting to the source, to the bottom, the root of all the pains, which I'm starting to find out is the trauma. I mean, it's already something I know, everybody knows we all have trauma, we all have stored trauma, but I don't think we really understand what that means. It shows up every day. Every day we're just trauma interactions with most people if we're not taking care of what we need to be taken care of. If we're not living in our truth, if we're not living in alignment, if we're not doing the things we know we need to be doing, it just comes down to living in your truth. If you're not living in your truth, you're going to feel emotions that are indicators of you not living in your truth. At times when I'm not living in my truth, I feel angry. Sometimes I feel sad. Those are usually just the strongest of emotions, or the strongest times I'm out of alignment or just living away from the truth. That's the fact of the matter. It's just so far away from the truth. And it doesn't have to be like that. I don't know. The more I work my body and I'm finding these deep pains and deep tensions in my tissues, I do deep tissue work and mobility work and yoga. I'm just realizing that when I find these tensions, there's usually emotions associated with them, or events, or thoughts. I think it's the thoughts is the big one for me. There's been thoughts associated with these tensions in my body. These thoughts are just that. They're not the truth. They're not really real at all. That they're not real. The tensions, the pressure that you're putting on yourself, the pressure that you're feeling from everyone else is only there because deep down you already know that you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And it's hard sometimes. You get frustrated. You might, whatever the negative emotion is you might feel, it's hard to get past that. It's hard to stop thinking about it. Because, right, they're thoughts. They're just these thoughts that are playing on a loop. I had a conversation last night with one of my Uber riders that he made an analogy to a tape reel just being your thoughts, these negative thoughts, this pattern that you're playing yourself every day, these reoccurring thoughts. That once that reel gets to the end, once you've already thought about everything you can possibly think about, what happens? You just rewind it. And you have no choice but to think the same things over again until you get to the end. And then what happens again when you get to the end and you're done thinking about all the things that can possibly happen? What happens then? What happens when you've thought about all the bad things that have happened in your life? What happens when you've thought about all the things that might happen in your life that might be bad and might make you feel that feeling that you're trying to get past? It's fear is what it is. You're just afraid. I'm afraid to feel the shit sometimes. I'm afraid that as soon as I open up again, as soon as I let go, as soon as I stop holding on to things, it's going to go away. It's going to just be gone. But that's the great trick, right? Is you can't have anything new. You can't allow anything new in your life if you're holding on so tightly to everything and the way it's been. You leave no room. There's no bridge. There's no space for it. Because you're taking up the space. If you don't make the space for something new, how can you expect something new to come in your life? I've played tricks on myself so many times, thinking that this time if I do it a little bit better, if I say it like, if I just say it like this time. Can't be like that. You've literally, you have to think that you've made the best decision with what information you've had in each present moment. And any of these things that you regret, any of these things, these thoughts that you can't get past, these ideas, these things that have happened that you're just like, I wish I could somehow rewrite what happened. But that can't be the case. What happened. What has happened. You might never know what happened because it's stories anyway. We all remember things as stories. My version, your version, their version, everybody's version. I can only be concerned with my version right now. And the things that I've felt in my life that I know are real, when it's me, when it's myself, when I know, when I'm in that gnosis state, there's no pressure from anybody. It's all self-imposed. It's all telling me what I need to be doing. A big one for me has been my relationship. This has been a great teacher for me. As I'm learning to trust someone and love someone for real, to really love someone means you have to really trust them. It means you have to be willing to not know. You have to be willing to bridge that gap of the unknown with your faith. And I don't care what anybody says, it's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do. Having faith, I used to laugh at that concept. What's faith? I always associated that with God and the church and Christian faith. And the more I open up and the more I realize and the more I examine and look at myself, it really is just my relationship to it all. It's your relationship to it all. That the only thing that matters. And if you don't like the relationship, you have the choice to change that relationship. Whether it means removing that relationship entirely, whether it means reforming that relationship into something new. But to do that, you might have to hash shit out. So then you can make way for a new space of love and trust that something can be built on. Nothing can be built without trust. Nothing can be built without not the things that I want to build, not the things that need to be built, The things that need to be built are the things that are built with the intention behind it that you trust. There's just, when you come back to yourself, when you trust yourself, when you love yourself, and loving yourself means spending the time with yourself, spending time alone. Like, I can't emphasize it enough. If you are uncomfortable alone, chances are that's exactly what you need. You need to just sit in it longer and longer. Because when you learn to embrace the what is, right? Because at the end of the day, when everybody's gone, what do you have? You have you. That's all you have. That's all you will ever have is you. When your parents die, when your friends die, it might just be you. So you always have to have that relationship with yourself. You always have to try to nurture it, because if you continue to live from the perspective of everyone else in the world and how the world expects you to live, right? How the world has expected you to live, because your feelings are telling you that the world doesn't like the way you're living. If you're not living right, and you know you're not living right, and you keep trying to do these things for other people, and you know that they're not the things that you need to do, you're not serving anybody if you can't serve yourself first. You have to serve yourself first so you can serve other people. That is, I don't know, I didn't know what that meant all the time, all right? But the more I examine and the more I sit in the witness, the more I sit and I just witness shit. I witness my emotions and I witness my feelings and my thoughts and the same shit I continue to think about over and over again. I'm realizing that it's self-imposed almost 100% of the time. Because what happens when you have no more pain, the fear is gone, the expectations? Just imagine what it would feel like. No expectations, no fear, because you don't have to be anything than what you already are right now in this very moment. No pressure, because where we're at right now is where we are. That's all we have.